Good afternoon. Thank you very much for staying with KTN News. My name is Betty Okari. This is KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for joining us on this 10th day of December 2015. I hope you're having a great day. We have the latest. We begin with the highlights.
Mandera Senator and 5 other MPs arrested over mass grave allegations. President Uhuru is in Rwanda for the Northern Corridor meeting. And AMISOM forces rally citizens in the fight against terror.
Well, we begin here in Nairobi, and Mandera Senator Okari has been arrested at Wilson Airport in Nairobi over remarks he made in relation to mass graves in the county. Now, the senator was arrested on his way from Mandera this morning and taken to the Director of Criminal Investigations headquarters for interrogation. Well, he had apologized for making allegations of the discovery of a mass grave in the county, saying he regretted causing anxiety. Well, yesterday, Ngaiseri told a press conference that Kero and journalists Mohammed Ali and Yasin Juma had made repeated and substantiated claims over allegations of the discovery of mass graves in Mandera. Now I want to speak to our reporter Timothy Otieno, who is currently at the CID headquarters here in Nairobi. Timothy, if you can hear me, maybe you can just bring us up to speed with what's happening there.
Good afternoon. It is indeed true that the Mandera Senator, Honorable Okari, was brought here at the CID headquarters along Kiambu Road at about 11 a.m. this morning, and he was arrested at the Wilson Airport, where he had just arrived after taking a flight from Mandera to Nairobi. He was escorted to the CID headquarters just now. It's about 2 hours. He has been under interrogation by the investigators here. But this follows a directive yesterday by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Honorable Joseph Ngaiseri, who had asked the senator to apologize and retract over statements that the senator had made on Monday, claiming that the Kenya Defense Forces had been engaging in extrajudicial killing and subsequent burying of bodies in a mass grave in Mandera. Of course, officials from the ministry and the security forces have been digging up the area over the past 2 days, and only one body of the late Islina Musa has been discovered. And yesterday, the senator subsequently did apologize over the remarks, saying that he did not intend to cause panic or any alarm or anxiety. And so this arrest this morning raises a lot of questions, considering the CS for Interior had asked them to apologize alongside KTN journalist Mohammed Ali as well as Yasin Juma. Out of the three, only the senator who had indeed retracted his statement, and it waits to be seen why he could have been brought here for questioning even after he had retracted the statement, Betty.
Right, Timothy, you mentioned, of course, and we know that Mohammed Ali, who's a journalist here at KTN, and Yasin Juma were also mentioned yesterday by Ngaiseri. Do we know if they will also be quizzed or investigated in regard to this particular issue?
Well, they were given an ultimatum as to, I think, the end of the day to retract the statement, or in Mr. Kaiseri's words, face grave consequences over the remarks that he says that is for the journalists Mohammed Ali and Yasin Juma, having that claiming that there were bodies in Mandera using social media, their Facebook and Twitter accounts. And he was saying that this was alarmist and had given them up to the end of today to retract their statement. It waits to be seen whether both journalists will indeed retract their statements, and if not, what then next? Because right now it appears even if you retract the statement, as is in the case of the senator, you are still brought in for investigations and interrogations. So it's a wait and see, Betty, as even as we wait for the senator here at the CID headquarters to find out why he had been called in, considering that he had indeed retracted the statement.
Right, thank you very much. Timothy Otieno there joining us from the CID headquarters, where Senator Bilo Kero and 5 other MPs from the region have been questioned for the last 2-3 hours over remarks they made and allegations of mass graves. We will continue keeping an eye on this developing story. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta arrived in Kigali for a one-day official visit. During the visit, Uhuru will attend the 12th summit of the Northern Corridor Integration Project. There has been tremendous progress in infrastructure development in the region over the past 2 years as a result of the direct involvement of the leaders in the Northern Corridor integration. Now, the leaders will discuss progress in implementation of the projects that deepen integration and improve people-to-people relations, as well as significantly improve intra-regional trade. Well, some of the tangible results already attained are movement in Rwanda, Uganda and Kenya using only identity cards, harmonized fees for university education, one visa regime for tourists, and no employment permits between Kenya and Rwanda. Now, the U.S. government has denied releasing names of individuals who are said to have been banned from entering the United States due to corruption. In a statement sent to newsrooms, U.S. Ambassador to Kenya Robert Godek said that information regarding visa applications and decisions is confidential and cannot be released to the public. The statement, however, stated clearly that according to the presidential proclamation of January 2004, the U.S. government can deny visas to individuals engaged in or benefiting from corruption that has serious adverse effects on U.S. interests. The statement comes a day after social media was awash with names of senior government officials who are alleged to have been titled persona non grata in the United States. A week ago, Godek was on record stating that the U.S. government will be strict on individuals involved in corruption. Now, various leaders from the eastern region have announced the rollout of an operation that is aimed at clamping down on land grabbers in the eastern region of the country. Well, this was during the annual commemoration of the International Day of Anti-Corruption. The operation will focus on investors in local real estate properties. Members of the public have been asked to fully cooperate with investigating authorities. Trix Ingado has that report.
The Deputy Director of the EACC Upper Eastern Region Office, Ignomius Wekesa, has issued a stern warning to land grabbers and other corrupt members of society, saying all property owners will now be required to account for their land by showing legal documents. The director was speaking during the International Day of Anti-Corruption commemoration held at the Kenyatta Stadium in Maralal Town.
Please, kama wewe umenyakua mali ya umma, andika barua kwa ofisi yangu. Kama wewe ni mtu wa region hii, useme mimi nilichukua hii kwa kipadi mbaya, uniletee, kuna mipangilio ambayo tutafanya na turudishe hiyo shamba ama hiyo kitu umenyakua kwa serikali.
He also warned that the law would take its course and that anyone disputing the legal processes that shall be put into effect shall not be successful in stalling them. No excuse, he said, shall be tolerated. Residents were therefore asked to cooperate fully with investigating officers. Samburu County Commissioner called for the investigation of all individuals making huge, dubious investments in real estate in unrealistic short periods of time.
Lakini ile ningesema wanasemanga penye nia pana njia ya kupromote issues ya integrity. Nina hakika kwamba tutaendelea mbele.
The operation will be conducted within Samburu, Isiolo, Marsabit, Meru and Tharaka Nithi. Trix Ingado, KTN News.
A research by the Transparency International shows that most people in the East African region don't report bribery cases, which is a leading contributor to the rise in corruption cases in the region. The research conducted between the year 2010 and 2014 also indicates that the bribery cases among the police in Kenya has actually reduced, but it is on a steady rise in the judiciary. The judiciary was also found to be the institution most prone to bribery. The Transparency International, however, indicates that it is until those accused of corruption are successfully prosecuted that the fight against it would be seen to be taking shape.
Burundi was actually ranked as one of the most bribery prone in the 3 of the 5 years under review. So in 3 of the 5 years under review, Burundi was ranked as the most bribery prone country. Kenya registered an improvement since 2010, and you know in 2010 we had a new constitution. And apart from that, apart from 2012, was also the least bribery-prone country. The judiciary in Kenya, as you can see, registered an improvement between 2010 and 2012, but this seems to have reversed in 2013 and sustained in 2014, such that in 2014, the judiciary in Kenya was ranked as the most bribery-prone judiciary in the region. The fight against corruption in this country will reach an irreversible stage when we can say without any doubt that those who have broken the law, those who have engaged in corruption, will be prosecuted successfully, that they will be jailed, and what they have stolen will be recovered. I think we are far off from that.
Now, a third lion has died in Narok after a pride featured on a BBC Wildlife program was allegedly poisoned by Maasai herdsmen. The cub, known as Alan, had been recovering from the suspected episode of poisoning. 8 members of the Pride of Lions that featured BBC's long-running Big Cat Diary series were affected in the incident. 2 Maasai herdsmen have been charged with poisoning the lions. The poisoning is alleged to have taken place after the herdsmen illegally brought cattle onto the reserve, and 3 were killed by the lions. The herdsmen, Siminde Naururi and Kulangash Topositare, were charged of lacing one of the carcasses with pesticides.
8 members of a Pride of Lions that featured in a popular wildlife documentary series have been poisoned in Kenya's Masai Mara Reserve. 1 more is missing, and at least 5 are being treated by vets. Among the dead lions was 17-year-old female Bibi, who had become more of a celebrity during the TV series' long and hugely popular run from 1996 to 2008. Bibi was found lying on her side, foaming at the mouth, fighting and panting before she died. Conservationists first noticed something was wrong on Sunday morning when some of the lions were acting strangely, collapsing and suffering from seizures. Local cattle herders who frequently bring their animals into the Masai Mara National Reserve to graze are suspected for the poisoning. And according to the Kenya Wildlife Service, 2 suspects were yesterday remanded in police custody for 2 weeks by a Narok court to facilitate investigations into the poisoning of 2 famous lionesses in the Mara. Jonathan Scott, a zoologist and one of the show's original presenters who has been following the Pride for nearly 40 years, described the poisoning as the end of an era. Zinzi Kibiku, KTN News.
The war to liberate Somalia can be won faster and more effectively if it is supported by the local community. All this has been said by the AMISOM Force Commander Lieutenant General Jonathan Rono when he visited the Ethiopian National Defense Forces that operate in Sector 3 in Baidoa. Murimi Mwangi reports.
Inch by inch, and the war-torn Somalia is slowly breaking loose from the chains of the Al-Shabaab under the concerted liberation campaign of the AMISOM forces. But as the war-scarred country prepares to welcome the Christmas season, still under the cover of heavy gunfire and mortar shells, AMISOM Forces Commander Lieutenant General Jonathan Rono has announced that Somalia could be liberated faster and more effectively if the AMISOM soldiers cultivate a more cordial relationship with the residents to encourage them to support the liberation struggle.
The latest achievements that we have realized is in the capture of Dinsur and Bardere, a place that has been very problematic for a long time. And so I just came to thank him and his men, and also to thank the troops which supported him from ENDF, people who are not in AMISOM, and they came to support them.
Rono, who had visited the Ethiopian National Defense Forces manning Sector 3, headquartered at Baidoa, said although the forces had inflicted irreparable losses on the Al-Shabaab terror group, the soldiers still have a daunting task, winning the scarred hearts of the residents who have not tasted peace for decades. The Sector 3 commanders praised the regional administration and security bodies who facilitated the liberation of the area under his jurisdiction, where he said over 700 terrorists had been killed and loads of ammunition recovered.
AMISOM is not just providing security for city of Baidoa. It's because it has handed over to the local forces.
Somalia is currently enjoying a relative peace as the AMISOM forces continue the liberation struggle of the country from the chains of the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militants. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
And Kenya-UK defense, I beg your pardon. Now, the Kenya and the UK have renewed a defense cooperation agreement which allows British troops to continue training at Nanyuki in northeastern Kenya. A previous attempt to sign the deal collapsed following differences of whether UK troops can be prosecuted in Kenya for any offences they commit in the East African state. Under the new deal, UK soldiers who break the law while off duty in Kenya will be prosecuted by Kenya's authorities. However, if they commit offences while on duty, well, they will be prosecuted in Kenya, but by UK officials. KTN's Muremi Mwangi witnessed the signing of the deal, which will be in force for 5 years.
Kenya's diplomatic relation with the West has in the recent times been frosty, to say the least. A strain which a few days ago threatened to detach the country from the umbilical cord of its colonial master Britain, as the two countries pushed and pulled in different directions over the issues of the International Criminal Court, which threatened to degenerate into a duel. A section of pro-government legislators threatened to kick out British soldiers from the country over UK's stand on the ICC trial against Deputy President William Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap-Sang. But in a rare gesture of the strong bilateral ties between Kenya and the United Kingdom, the two countries have signed a pact extending the stay of the over 10,000 British soldiers training in the country for another 5 years.
We look forward to utilizing this agreement to enhance the excellent cooperation between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Kenya, and between our excellent defense forces.
And this agreement puts that arrangement, and indeed Kenyan training and participation in the UK, on a new footing in line with Kenyan sovereignty and the 2010 Constitution.
This treaty is arguably the first basket of goodies for the Britons back home from the incoming British High Commissioner to Kenya, Nicholas Haley, who signed the pact with Kenya's Defense Secretary Rachel Omamo, ending months of speculation that the military cooperation between Kenya and the British was nearing a dead end.
Defense cooperation is essential in the fight against terrorism and the other serious security threats that confront Kenya and our region.
Our training and activity in Kenya is already worth 9 billion.
We come to the end of KTN Newsdesk. I definitely need some lunch. Part 1. Part 2 is coming up shortly on the KTN News channel. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Betty Okari.